check. Quick 1, 2.
Check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my name is Etienne Maurice. I am a director, wellness philanthropist, yoga instructor, and now I'm a new shoe designer. Because by the time this video comes out, the new WalkGood on shoe will have dropped. I run a nonprofit called WalkGood LA. WalkGood, we are a family that brings people together from all walks of life to fight for racial equity and heal in solidarity through the arts, health, and wellness. I remember a time in my life where I wasn't getting asked to do anything. I remember where I would be sitting at my mother's house in my childhood bedroom, just scrolling on Instagram, and I wasn't really motivated to do anything. Looking back on it, I could say that I was definitely depressed. But when I think about the things I'm saying yes to now, it's like now I got people calling my phone wanting to, have time with me, wanting to spend time with me, wanting to learn from me. So when I think of it from that perspective, I'm grateful to say yes. But I think now, in this moment of my life, while people are demanding so much time of me, I'm gonna have to start learning to say no. The work that I've done up until this point has really benefited me emotionally. I think I've developed this self-awareness that I just didn't have before I started WalkGood LA. I've learned to check my ego at the door. I've learned to reason with people. I've learned to reason with myself in ways that I wasn't able to do before. I'm able to really check my emotions and really take a step back and really assess all the moving pieces and all the moving parts, because I've experienced all the emotions one could experience. But I think everything that I'm doing now in my career, I think all my life experiences have prepared me for this moment. When I was 21, it was really, really difficult because when you lose your mind, when you're manic, and on top of that, when you're depressed, you literally have no control. Because it's all in your head. You literally have no control whatsoever. And people think you're crazy. You write crazy things online, and people start to worry about you, and that makes you more paranoid. And nobody's believing you, nobody understands you, because everything you're saying sounds perfect in your head, but to everyone else, it's like you're speaking Chinese. And it's that imbalance that I remember I went through at that time that really, really drove me up the wall. So far that I threatened to commit suicide. And I told my mom that if anyone were to feel how I'm feeling right now, I would understand why somebody would want to kill themselves. I knew I wasn't going to actually do it because I think there was something very scary about that thought. But it was one of those situations where I felt like my mind just kept going in circles, and it was just something that I couldn't get myself out of. And it scared me because I developed this sense of paranoia that I just didn't want to feel anymore. And it was one of those things where I just felt like I lost all my senses. And when you feel that way and you just feel numb to everything, it's a scary feeling. It's a really scary feeling because I had developed a sense of rage that till this day I just can't describe. And I think it was just a lot of things that was just boiling up inside of me that was just exploded at that moment and that just wasn't taken care of. And on top of that, I was bleeding on my brain. I had microscopic hemorrhaging in my brain because of the DUI. So these are all these things that were just a gumbo of just boiling hot stew just exploding in my mind. And you just get to the point where you're like, I don't want to feel this way anymore. I go back to school that next year. The doctor tells me, just don't smoke or drink or you're gonna damage your brain even more. And you know, I did not listen. Go back to school in September that next year. I'm like a week away from turning 22. Go out, party with some friends, started drinking, started smoking, doing the opposite of what the doctor told me to do. And next thing I know, I remember waking up in the hospital. I've been shot twice in my leg, a grazed blow by my eyebrow. And I remember like being in and out of consciousness. I remember like there was like this hospital priest. He was like praying for me. I remember this like, I haven't told anybody this story. I remember him like praying for me, and I think he had like his like assistant with him. Oh my God, I remember I had a catheter. It's like the tube that they stick in your urethra. Oh my God, it was so painful. Oh my goodness. Oh man. And I remember waking up fully and the catheter was out and I was just literally in my jumpsuit. And I tell the nurse, I'm like, where am I? And she's like, you're in University of Pennsylvania Hospital. She's like, you've been shot. I'm like, what? I've been shot? I could not believe it. It was like I was living in a twilight zone. I was like, what happened the night before for me to have been shot? Till this day, it blows my mind. I don't know how I got from the bar that we were at. It was called Drinkers. I don't know how I ended up on 52nd Street in Delancey in a neighborhood that I'd never been before. And they told me I had been robbed by a father and a son, of all people, for my iPhone and my wallet. And by the grace of God, I ended up at that hospital because the original hospital they had sent me to that's in the neighborhood, they didn't have a trauma center. So they were able to transfer me over to University of Pennsylvania Hospital, and they were able to treat me. And when I got out of the ER, I didn't want to call my mom. I didn't want to call my dad. I didn't want to tell them I had been shot and not have any explanation as to how I got shot. So I called my sister. I told my sister, I said, Coco, don't tell mom, but I'm in the ER. I just got shot. And then I hung up. She immediately told my mom. Going back to school was my way of trying to just insert myself back into regular life. But once I started hanging out with my friends and I was able to laugh a lot more, I was able to smile a little more, and I wasn't in such a depressive state, I knew that I was back on track. But I give a lot of that, I give a lot of my coming back to my better self. I give a lot of credit to my grandmother. I give a lot of credit to my mother. I give a lot of credit to my dad, my sister, my uncle, because they checked up on me. They prayed for me. Yeah, they loved me, man. my grandmother always reminded me to walk good. And that became my mission in life, is to walk good. Because I was walking very bad. I was going to a lot of therapy sessions. I was meeting my psychiatrist. I was also diagnosed with ADD. And I was made me frustrated too, because it took all of this for me to be diagnosed with ADD. And I learned that my ADD was just a byproduct of depression, or depression is a byproduct of ADD. And my lack of focus was a byproduct of ADD. And because of that, I developed these mechanisms that just weren't healthy for me. Drugs, alcohol, because I felt like I wasn't excelling in certain areas of my life. So I just went to things that just weren't serving me. I was reading my journal the other day, and it made me so sad, because I was really struggling. I felt like weed and alcohol had like this weird hold on me. And I was praying like in my journal, like, please release me from these shackles, because I don't want to feel this way. Because even when I was smoking and drinking, I felt depressed. I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not even finding any joy out of this. And I remember just making that decision to just stop. And I did. And it was the best decision I could have made for myself. When I think of the work we do at WalkGood with my family, with my sister Ivy and my cousin Marley, you know, we all have different things that we're good at. You know, I use this analogy. In our logo, our colors are red, gold, and green. You know, my cousin Marley, she's the yellow. She's the bright, personal. She's the bright sun. She's the beaming sun that reminds us of the light that we are. My sister, she's the green. She's the grass. She's the beauty that we see in ourselves and in each other. And then me, I'm the red. I'm the soil. I'm the thing that keeps things moving, keeps things growing. I'm the fertilizer. And when I think about how we all contribute to this mission of purpose, reminding people to breathe, reminding people to be still, reminding people to show compassion, not only to each other, but to ourselves, I think it's because we all have that within us. And so we have to be reflections of each other. And we hold each other accountable to do those things. And, you know, we all have a purpose that we've had to really work towards, that we're all still working towards. And I think that's why people love coming to WalkGood, because they see the love that we have for each other. And we don't sugarcoat how we're feeling in certain moments of our lives. It's not like your average yoga studio or wellness center where people, they'll sometimes sugarcoat or just go over how you're really feeling. Someone said, you know, it's more moisturized than it is real and rough. But we're as real as it gets, you know. On the exterior, it might look like we have it all together, but sometimes we don't. And we'll be very transparent about that. And I think we need more of that in the wellness space, is to say, hey, I don't have it all together. And this is how I'm feeling right now in this moment. But I'm here. I'm showing up. That's all you have to do, is just show up. And let the work show for itself. We're learning each other every day, but we are a legit family. And a lot of teams, a lot of organizations don't have that type of bond that we have. But, you know, I've had to learn that I can't do everything. And I have had to learn that, yes, I am wrong. I also get very excited to tell people that I was right too. I will definitely tell everybody in my team that I was right about certain situations, but I digress. It starts with me. Any clash that might happen internally, I always am reminded that it begins with me. How I treat somebody in my team, whether it's my cousin, whether it's my sister, that trickles down. And you can't have a missing link in the chain, because then the whole chain falls apart. It's frustrating because I've been able to turn my pain into purpose, and I wish people can see that there is more to life. There's more than meets the eye. And I want people to develop their own individual thought. You know, I want people to believe in love. And I feel like we're all we're all distracted, man. We're all distracted. And when I think of people who lack compassion, when I see people who lack compassion of human life, I think that's weak. When I see people who don't believe in goodness, I think that's weak. When I see people online hurting each other and not being kind to one another, I think that's weak. And I feel like there's much more life than that. You know, people want to be entertained nowadays. People don't want to be inspired. People rather be hated than loved. I don't think that's a way of life. You know, and people are being inspired to not love themselves in their true, authentic self. And I think that's weak. And I think there are a lot of leaders out there that are encouraging others to not love themselves. And I just don't feel like we should be living in a society that is teaching others not to love themselves. I know I'm a yoga instructor. I teach yoga. But that has really helped me spiritually, physically, mentally. In every one of my classes, I tell my students, repeat after me, I am strong. And we do it 3 times and say, I'm strong. And they're playing pose, I'm strong. And they go into downward facing dog. And people need that reminder. People need to be reminded that they are strong. Because I think we're in this space right now where we're being influenced by a lot of weak people. And that energy permeates in a lot of people's spirits where they feel like they can't do certain things because they feel weak. They feel like they can't do certain things. But in my class, I like to empower people and tell them that they are strong, but they have to tell themselves that they're strong. Sometimes we have students, they feel kind of weird saying it. I'm like, I need to hear everybody in class say, I'm strong. And then when I hear everybody say I'm strong, then we go into continue the class. But, you know, that's a part of the work that we all have to do, is to encourage each other that we are strong and that we can do things. Just recently, I had a yoga class over at the WalkGood yard. It's our new creative wellness studio. And a young lady came in, she came into the building and she saw these photos of my grandfather all on the wall. And she was like, oh my God, you're Dr. Stanley Ralph's grandson. I was like, yeah. And she went on and on about how beloved my grandfather was and how my grandfather was her voice coach, her piano instructor, and she just remembered how my grandfather really encouraged the best out of everyone. And, it made me cry because, I am my grandfather's legacy. And for one of his students take my yoga class, and, I just think about all the possibilities for her to step foot into my place of business and take my class, and for her to have that experience with my grandfather. It's like, it's another reminder that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. But to answer your question, I think the reason why I feel good when I say that I'm a culture shifter is because I'm inspired by my family, who taught me to be a culture shifter. Jay Shetty is a brilliant mind, amazing human being, and he shared a story about how he was meeting these little monks, and little monks were teaching them breath work, and he was teaching them about the breath. And little boy said, when you come into this world, what's the first thing you have? He said, your breath. He said, when you leave this world, what is the last thing you're left with? He was like, your breath. And I think about how important it is for us to just breathe. In through your nose, exhale out of your mouth. That's the one thing in your life that's constant, is your breath. It's the one thing that changes when you're happy, when you're at ease, when you're angry, when you're sad. And so why not take the time to learn how to breathe, to show gratitude for your breath? So learn how to breathe, because it's important, and you're important.